Hey YouTube, it's Adam from I'm a Music Mogul. Today's video, we're going to be remaking Cardi B's track Bodak Yellow, so let's get straight to it. First things first, let's set the tempo to 125 beats per minute. And we're going to get started with that main sound that we hear throughout the entire track. So I'll give myself a 4-bar looped region. Let's draw in that region. Now recently people have been telling me that they want Logic stock plugins, so let's try and recreate this main sound with a stock Logic plugin. We'll be using Logic Sculpture. And the preset that we're going to be starting with is found under Plucked Instruments. And I believe it was called Plastic Guitar. So let's just get started right here and draw in the pattern. All right, so there's the pattern right there. Next, let's go ahead and open up Sculpture just to get this sounding a little bit more like the one in the track itself. All right, so right there is a good starting point for the sound. Next, let's go ahead and close this. We're gonna bring in an EQ. We're gonna filter out some of those lows. We're gonna filter out some of those highs. All right, next let's bring in some overdrive. We just want that a little bit. Next, let's go ahead and bring in a reverb. So we're going to use Logic Space Designer. And for this, we're going to use a preset to make it a little bit more lo-fi sounding. We're going to go to Large Space, Bring Verbs. Let's use this one over here. Kind of gives it that lo-fi sound. Next, let's go ahead and bring in another reverb. And we're just going to give it that space that it needs. We're going to bring in Logic Space Designer once again. We give it that space. And we could bring in another delay, but I think the delay here is okay. Maybe I'll raise it up a little bit here. All right, so that's our main sound. That's pretty much going to be heard throughout the entire track. Next, let's get to the drums. So let's go ahead and create a new software instrument track. And we're going to be working with Logic's EXS24 sampler instrument, as I've predefined a drum kit for this tutorial. The Bodak Yellow drum kit. Let's just make this nice and loud. And next, let's go ahead and draw in that 4-bar pattern. Let's start off with the hi-hats because they're most prevalent and they're easy to do. This pretty much duplicates itself. just like that. What we're going to do here, I'm just going to pull up an EQ and just filter out some of the lows. And get this nice and bright. Let's bring it in with the guitar. All right, something like that is good. Next, let's go ahead and duplicate this kit right here. And we're going to go ahead and bring in, let's go ahead and bring in that crash because it happens at the first part of each bar, at least every 4 bars. So let's just bring it. Oh, that's our clap. All right, next go ahead and duplicate this track and go ahead and bring in our clap. Let's just take off this channel EQ. Probably don't need it for the clap. Clap can be found over here. All right, next let's go ahead and add in one more clap, and it happens at the end of the 4 bars. And it's a little clap that just kind of sits under this clap over here. If I can find it. Let's add a little bit more reverb to that right there. Let's go Space Designer, and we'll just pull up that reverb here. All right, so something like that is good. So this part pretty much duplicates itself for the first 8 bars of the track. And then right here, the 808s come in and the claps get removed. So let's go ahead and just remove our claps. And let's go ahead and create a new, or let's duplicate this track right here. And we're gonna remove the Space Designer. And let's program in our 808s. Go over here, draw in a 1-bar pattern where the 808s go a little bit wild. And let's go ahead and program that in. Go something like this. All right, the hi-hats here as well changes. So let's get into our second hi-hat pattern. It changes at the end here. Let's open that up. And we're just gonna go ahead and change this to 30-second notes here. Change my grid to 30-second. Actually, we can just change this to our brush tool. And let's change this to 30-second notes. That happens like that. So as a whole, it sounds like this. All right, so let's move on here with the arrangement. We're gonna continue this high pattern right here. Our hi-hat pattern is gonna switch up once again. So let's go ahead and change that right now. So at the beginning of this region over here, we get a little stutter edit. Actually, let's duplicate this one over here. This one we're going to duplicate over here. And at the beginning part of this, we're going to get a quick stutter edit, a 64th note stutter edit. And let's go ahead and draw those in. All right, so something like that happens. Let's copy over our claps. Let's copy over our crash. All right, then we move on to this part. Let's bring over this section over here. And the 808s come back into play. Let's go ahead and duplicate this 808 right here. There is one kick over here that happens at the beginning of bar 9. And let's put that in. Let's change this back to 16th grid. Let's go here. And sort of this little floppy kick here. So it comes from here into this section. All right, so we are almost there, guys. Lastly, we're gonna copy over these two regions, and we're gonna pitch this down 1 octave. So all we have to do is select the regions that we want to adjust, head over to our inspector tab, under transpose, just bring it down -12. It's gonna show you -12. And that's just going to pitch those notes down 1 octave. Let's go ahead and copy over these claps. Let's copy over this section like this. And then let's copy over our crash. The hi-hat pattern does change one more time, so we're going to get to that in a moment. Just want to make sure that we have everything going here as per normal. And then one more 808 comes into here. Kind of hits when that first clap hits. Let's go ahead and bring that one in. And that's pretty much for that. Now let's go back to our hi-hats and adjust those. All right, guys, actually I put a pause on the video just now to listen to the song, and the hi-hat pattern change up comes at a later time. It's a little confusing, this track, so I'm going to delete that. I believe what happened is it copies this piece right here. And then as we get out of this section, it's going to go back up to the higher octave plucks. And then we're going to copy over these claps in the crash. And let's just put this in here. And then this first kick happens again over here. And then those second hi-hats come into place. Let's go ahead and draw those in. Sorry guys, this tutorial is all over the place a little bit. The song is all over the place a little bit as well. Even though it's a simple song, it's there's a lot of change ups happening. So let's go ahead and just draw in that last hi-hat. I want to draw in a 16th note repeat, I believe. So how I repeated my notes before, if I select the MIDI notes I want to repeat and hit Command R on our keyboard, you can choose how many times you want to copy it over. And since I want to copy it 3 more times, let's type in 3, and we get that just like that. And that pretty much just goes straight like that. All right, next what we're going to do is a last final touch. We're going to apply a little effect that happens at the end of each 8 bars where these 808s hit. So let's move this region over to our first section over here. And we're just gonna focus in on this piece right here. We're gonna bring in a third-party plugin because it's an easy sort of pumping effect. It's by Waves. It's going off my screen here, and the plugin is One Knob Pumper. Here it is right here. And we're gonna push this to 100% wet. And we're gonna change the rate to 1/8. And we're just gonna automate that plugin on and off. So let's hit A on our keyboard to bring up the automation tab. Let's change our automation to touch. And I'm just gonna go ahead and play this out live here. All right, let's go ahead and close that. Adjust our automation over here. So at that section, it's gonna enable that plugin, and we're gonna get that sort of bouncing effect. All right, next let's go ahead and just select our automation select tool, automation select, and we're gonna select our automation. And we're just gonna go ahead and copy this over to each end part of 8 bars. And the way I'm copying it over is just holding down Option on my keyboard and clicking and dragging over the automation I selected. All right, let's hit A on our keyboard. And let's just bring this back here. Copy this over. Yes, let's copy automation. And finally, that is pretty much the bare bones skeleton to Cardi B's track Bodak Yellow. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the remake we just put together. Here it is. All right, that is a quick remake of Cardi B's Bodak Yellow. You got all the points in the track that you can kind of build out the full remake for yourselves. For your Logic users out there, I'm gonna go ahead and place this session as a downloadable link in the description box below this video. For your non-Logic users out there, got your back as well. I'm gonna export all the MIDI stems that you see here in this session. I'm also gonna include the drum kits and the drum sounds that we used in this tutorial. You can also find that playback in the description box below this video. If you do have any questions on this, you can ask me in the comment section below. For more good videos like this one, remember to hit that subscribe button, and I'll talk to y'all soon. Later. Peace.